is CNN.
I'm Martin Savage at CNN Center in Atlanta.
Save!
On a weekend devoted to remembering the dead, AIDS activists fight new battles for the living.
I'm Jean Meserve in Washington. President Clinton takes his campaign to Colorado's great outdoors, while Dole holds up in an office to talk strategy with his team.
The AIDS virus is in the spotlight in Washington this weekend. Thousands of people are remembering AIDS victims and pushing for stepped-up efforts to fight the disease. A prominent part of Washington has been transformed into a giant patchwork. The AIDS Memorial Quilt is on display on the National Mall. AIDS has claimed more than 340,000 lives in the United States. In the early phases of the epidemic, activists prodded researchers to develop effective treatments. But as CNN medical correspondent Jeff Levine reports, the activists now focus on the cost of the new drugs they work so hard to get.
It looked like other demonstrations by AIDS activists, but the message this week was not drug development, rather their spiraling cost.
The goals of AIDS activism have changed dramatically. 10 years ago, we needed answers. Today, we have a lot of answers. We don't have access, and that's what we're here fighting for.
As the epidemic is changing, so is the definition of activism.
There is a serious discussion that's going to begin to happen in a whole range of forums in very different ways with different organizations.
President Clinton's advisor on AIDS policy also wants the industry to make the drugs cheaper so people with the AIDS virus can afford them.
I would be very happy to talk with them about lowering their prices, and I'm planning to do that.
A little jawboning, perhaps?
Yes.
The industry says it does help patients who can't afford drugs and justifies its costs on the huge investment required to produce a new drug.
They all cost a great deal, given the $400 million it takes to invent a new medicine, and that then raises a set of access issues that the companies are dealing with now.
In 1986, there was one AIDS drug. Now there are 10, and more are in the pipeline. Much of the credit for the rapid development goes to the AIDS activists. Intense lobbying pressure on federal regulators reduced the drug approval process from years to months, or most recently, weeks.
I think that partnership is one of the most constructive things about the activism. It's really a part of the community saying, hey, we're part of the drug development research.
That tug of war between the activists and those in the drug development process has changed the face of AIDS. But success comes with a price. AZT, the original therapy for AIDS, cost about $2,500 a year. New three-drug combinations called cocktails can run $15,000 annually. And as patients are expected to live longer lives with the new approach, the costs are expected to pile up. AIDS activists have won many battles during the epidemic. Now they hope the new treatments will mean fewer panels for the AIDS quilt during the coming years. That is, if patients can find the money that will buy them precious time. Jeff Levine, CNN, Washington.